Right now, the two studios, you're at record numbers.
Well, 166,000 a month.
So from 40 to 50,000 a month to 160,000 a month plus a new location. What are some of the adjustments that you made that really helped you get to that point? And really also start with what your conversion rate was before. All right, Caitlin, I am so excited to have you on the show. You have been a Loudroomer favorite for so many, not only other members in the program, other gym owners, but also the staff, because we just see your hunger, we see your growth, your commitment to being great. And so this has been a long time coming. I feel like we should have had you on the show like 6, 7 months ago. So I'm sorry for not asking you sooner.
It's good. You're asking me now. So that's all that matters, right?
Deal. Exactly. 100%. I'm such a fan, and I see you have Pilates in Guelph, and you have two locations out in Ontario, Canada, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
How long have you had the business?
So originally the Guelph studio was founded in 2000. So
Founded
25 years.
25 years. Okay. And right now, the two studios, you're at record numbers, right? What are you doing in your top studio?
Well, 166,000 a month was
100
the last month.
Dang.
Yeah.
How's that feel? Now, I know Canadians don't like bragging, but how does it feel?
Yeah, it feels pretty good. It feels pretty good.
I love it. I love it. So 166,000. Now, let's rewind back 2 years ago. What would you say it was at 2 years ago?
We were probably at like 500,
For the
600,000.
year? For the year?
Yeah, a year, sorry, yeah. So like
Yeah.
40,000, 50,000 a month.
So from 40 to 50,000 a month to 160,000 a month plus a new location. So
Yeah.
obviously there's a way that we got there. But what I do want to know before we get into what you did to essentially, what is that, like 2.5x, almost 3x, no, more than 3x your business. What I want to know is what are some of the things, because you were still good. I mean, 40 to 50 is still a good studio. That's a really good studio. But obviously it's not 160. So what was holding you at that 50 mark?
We didn't market. We did zero marketing. Zero marketing.
Okay.
We just had word of mouth, people coming in.
Okay.
And it was wonderful and great, and it kept our business going. But as soon as we started to market and have a sales process as well, we actually started to convert people into members.
And when you say marketing and a sales process, so both hand in hand, which one do you think had the biggest impact?
Sales. The sales process.
Sales.
So that everyone who reached out to the studio was followed up with, had a good follow up. We had a process and we converted them. Like our conversion rates are, in the high 80s, 90s. If you walk in our door, you're likely going to become a member.
Wow. Okay. So high 80s to high 90%, meaning out of 100 leads you get, you're turning 80 to 90 of them into a member, right?
Yeah.
Which is insane. Okay. So let's talk about some of the things that you've added to your sales process or taken away or deleted. Like, what are some of the adjustments that you made that really helped you get to that point? And really also start with what your conversion rate was before.
I have no idea. I didn't know my numbers. And there was no sales process. So there was nothing.
Okay.
So the sales process was just whatever the person at the front desk did or the teacher that saw the client did.
Got it.
There was
Okay.
no consistency, no congruency. Yeah.
So you've created consistency, you've created congruency. What does that look like? Let's say I'm new to your studio. I call in from whatever marketing, and we're going to get into the marketing, but I call in from whatever marketing source, that got me to call. What happens next in my world when I'm working with you?
We start to ask them questions about why they chose Pilates, why they called us. And then we lead them into, so we have two ways that they can try out the studio, either a trial class, which we never had before, or a client, so a one-on-one consultation. Because a lot of the clients that come to see us are people who need more individualized care. They're coming post-physiotherapy, they're coming post-surgery, so they aren't the best suited for a class. So having those two options was really valuable because then we could address the needs of the client, and that was calling.
Got it. So now for those that are listening or watching, if you're like, oh, that's not really my demographic, so I don't know if this is relevant, don't think that it has to be like, if we're to learn from Caitlin, that's what you're going to have to take. I want you to learn what she did. And so the principle is she learned what her demographic was like. And then from there, she tailored the sales process to her demographic. So as you're watching and listening to how she does what she does, I want you to say, okay, it's not less about what she did, it's more about how she thought through it. If you can learn more about how she thought through it, you can apply that same thinking to building out your sales process. Okay, so you said, hey, these people are post physiotherapy. It sounds like they're a little bit of an older demographic. Yes.
They can be younger as well, but like post surgery, yeah. So
Post surgeries. Okay.
knee surgeries, things like that. For more athletes, they will come to our
Okay.
studio after that. Yeah.
So knowing that a really large portion of your prospects are going to be post surgery stuff like that, how did you take that information and apply it to creating your sales process?
Well, it's because we could separate them so that we just didn't have a trial class, because a trial class is not going to serve everyone. The other thing with a trial class is if you have someone who needs and one-on-one attention, they're going to ruin a trial class for everyone else because it's going to change the atmosphere. We want the trial classes to be classes fun, easygoing, lighthearted. And if someone needs a lot of adjustments or needs a lot of care, that's going to change the atmosphere. So really by separating the two, we could make sure that we were focusing on what the needs were for the client that was calling or coming in.
Awesome. Okay. And so now let's say I called in or you called me because I filled out a form. Either way,
Yeah.
I get on the phone with you, you start asking me questions to understand me a little bit better, and then you give me one option, or which is either A, come in for a class, which you would make that decision on whether that's a good thing for them,
Yeah.
or do a one-on-one consult because of who I am, and you might feel like that's a better way to kick off the relationship.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's not a static next step. It depends. So you have
It
a full
depends.
queue. Okay,
Yeah.
I like
And we're
that.
not letting the clients necessarily choose. We're choosing for them and we're sending them in the direction that we think. Then we're also not offering trial classes if they just want to buy.
Got it. What's the decision making filter that your people apply to determine do they go this way or do they go that way?
So questions about why did you choose Pilates? Why are you coming? What's your history with movement? In that story, as they start to tell you about themselves and who they are, you're going to figure out if they need to go one-on-one or they need to go into the group class.
Got it. Okay. So I say, yeah, let's do it. And it's a group class as an example. Got to pick one.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's next in the sales process?
So we sign you up for a class right away. So we have 3 classes that run a week, and then we ask for your credit card to hold the space. And like we're a hotel, right? We're reservation based. We have small class sizes, so it's only 6 people that get in. We'll push that a little bit if we need to, but then that's it.
Got it.
The person is happy. We send them follow up text messages that we're excited to see them at this time. And then really we do before their class, we'll also send them another text to see them. Our show rate is amazing. It's almost like in the 90s, 95. So people are coming to the classes and then they come to the class. I wanted to share something with you, Mike, which I thought was really funny. I was at another gym because I work out with my husband at another gym.
Okay.
And I'm at this gym and I hear, so I'm going to take Pilates, and I'm taking a Pilates in Guelph. You know what was really amazing? Their trial class, the way they personalized my experience at the trial class, it was amazing. The way they came over, gave me personalized attention. Then we circled the classes that we think they're appropriate for them, and we give it back to them at the end of the class for the schedule, and we tailor the experience. So it was really amazing for me to hear. And I was like, this is great. I have to tell Mike about this. Right before this podcast, right? Of hearing in the gym, they don't know who I am.
Right.
And they're just talking to their trainer about their amazing experience and how wonderful the trial was and how
Right.
it blew them away, the experience they had.
And that's so cool to hear. And it's what's great is it's a system. It's not like you just had a person that was really nice at the front desk do a killer job that nobody else can really do like her. That's part of us. You built it into your system.
Yeah, it's totally a system. How we have our clipboards, how we have the pens on the clipboards, like every little part. We have name tags. People have name tags. They come into class. Everything is a choreography. Yeah, whatever that word is.
Choreographed.
So that choreographed, right? So that it's perfect. And it's consistent.
I love it.
And even the sales process after is consistent, what the teacher says after. And a lot of it is at the end of the class, we don't ask them if they want a membership. We just assume they want a membership. And we say, you're feeling great now. Well, let's keep this rolling. And this is how you do it. And they just walk up and they sign up.
I love it. I love it. Now, let's go back to the because one of the things that a lot of people struggle with, I've recommended time and time again on the podcast, and like at Loud Rumor we talk about it, which is getting the credit card at the point of booking in order to
Yeah.
increase the probability of them showing up. And a lot of people struggle with that. They think like people don't want to give their credit card, people don't want to bother, they feel like that's kind of scamish or whatever it is. You all been doing it for decades, but what's been your experience?
Well, we were the same way. Like, oh my gosh, they're not going to want to do that. No resistance at all.
Is that crazy?
Honestly, the way you approach it, if you approach it like, oh, maybe, can I please have your credit card? They're going to say
Yeah.
no. But you're like, oh, we need your credit card. We're like a hotel, reservation based. I think those are your words that you use
Yep.
in Loud Rumor
Yep.
Pod. But like, that's what we say. No one. We haven't had resistance from anyone.
Right. And then the great thing is, then there's opportunity from there, right? So, number one, the show rate naturally goes up just because of that one move, right? And there's other things that you do to improve the show rate. That's one thing. The other thing is if they don't show and completely ghost you, you can charge the card. If they don't show and you get them on the phone again, you can come out to look like a hero and say, "Hey, don't worry about it. Look, we're supposed to charge you. I'm sure something happened. Let's just reschedule it. It's okay. We'll figure it out. How about that?"
Exactly.
Right?
It's a win-win.
Right, and they're not going to do it again because that was you just kind of helped them out, right? So, okay, great. So now when I come in, you said you think about every little detail. I walk in for my appointment. I've already gotten a few texts and confirmations or calls or whatever. I walk in. What's next as soon as I walk in the door?
Saying hello, how are you? Introducing whoever's on the desk or there is going to introduce themselves. Ask the person there. Ask your name. What's your name? Oh, great! You're in the freak of the trial because they know all the people. We have a clipboard already made up for everyone that's going to be in the trial. We sit down, let them fill out the information that we need from them, and then come in when they're finished. Go and sit with them and ask them the same questions we asked them before. And at that point, we'll take them into the class, show them a little tour, a brief tour of the studio, give them a reformer that's their reformer, and be like, this is your reformer. We've designated this one for you. And then we'll go out, and the staff member is going to make little notes for the teacher of what they talked about. They're going to make sure to connect or introduce the client to the teacher so the client's not left there, or introduce the client to another client so they can be talking and chatting so that there's a warm, comforting environment so they feel welcome.
Yeah. What's interesting as you were talking, I'm hearing the ideas, and there's a good chance people are listening. They're doing a fourth of your revenue, a fifth of their revenue, and they're going, none of these ideas sound genius. Like these sound like everyone knows to do these. Yeah, it's not about what makes Caitlin great. It's not that she's doing anything that like nobody's ever done before. It's that she's doing what needs to be done every single time. That's the hard part. It's like your members, right, at a gym. It's not like they don't know how to get in better shape. They know generally like what I should eat, right? Like less fast food, less alcohol, no cigarettes, right? More lean meats, more veggies, get better sleep, drink water. I bet you the average person could list like a few things they could do in order to be in better shape. So it's not that like anybody that did any of those things, you're like, wow, eat vegetables? I'd never thought of that. No, it's not that. It's that you're doing it every day. And that's the game that you're playing. You're mastering the fundamentals at a high level.
Yeah, and the thing is that every month we review our process because we found over the last year and a half that consumers change. So we have to change our process slightly. So we'll change our process, and it could just simply be how we introduce the memberships or how we introduce some part of our program. And we need to make a tweak because we see that it's not landing the same way. So this is process, but it's also always changing to what we see our clients need to actually make the commitment.
to optimize it.
To optimize it. Yeah, all the time.
Who's in that meeting? You say you do it monthly?
We do it monthly. Yeah, so there's going to be me and then my sales manager. And then I have another sort of HR manager. She'll be in that meeting too. And if I have a lead generation and sales person, I'll put them in the lead in the meeting too. It's the people that are in the trials or the people who are doing that contact with the clients because they're seeing the reactions, they're seeing the responses. And so we do that changing or optimizing based on what we're seeing.
I just heard you say our lead generation person. What do you mean by that?
Oh, so we have a sales and lead generate, like a person who works on lead generation. So she's out in the community. She's the person who does a lot of the follow-ups for clients who come in or show interest and don't actually buy. So she'll be following up with them on a regular basis. She'll be creating different ways that we can get clients. So sending out something I learned in Loud Rumor for the real estate, right? Sending out a postcard to people who move into the community, inviting them in. So she'll be on top of those things, and we're creating more strategies that are more creative to get out into the community.
Wow. So you have an employee on your team that is 100% focused on just the leads. That's it.
It's sales and leads. So she's going to be, yeah, so she is the lead. So if someone calls in and they don't buy, she's following up with them the next day.
So lead
We
management.
have a whole system. Yeah.
So lead generation and lead management is what she's
Yeah.
in charge of.
Yeah.
Wow. And you say getting out in the community. So are you guys doing co-op events? Are you guys looking to bring in corporate business? Like what are you doing? What is she doing out in the community in order to generate business?
So right now we're focusing on partners, and these are healthcare partners. So physiotherapists, chiropractors, different health organizations in the city, so that they're referring directly to us,
Okay.
creating connections and with those people. And then we'll go to other things like there's a pickleball place that just opened. We're going to have a members event at the pickleball place we're going to rent out the pickleball courts for all of our members to come and play. There's a spin co. We're going to get, open things like that. So we're joining other businesses to help propel and grow both businesses.
I love that. My partner, Laurel Roach, for one of the gyms I own, she's so great at that. Have you guys ever connected?
Well, she's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you guys would enjoy bouncing ideas off each other. She's really, really good at that. It sounds like you guys are really, really good at it too. So there might be some like overlapping ideas, but there might be some unique ones that you can each bring to the table. I
I'd
thought it'd be
love to
great.
learn more from her. Yeah.
She's great. She's great. Awesome. Okay. So now let's go to the marketing. So it sounds like we understand the sales. You've really focused on not just nailing down the fundamentals, but optimizing every single month with your team to make it have a better performance every month, which makes sense because you had, what was it, like 12 or 13 months in a row where you've had a better month than the last month, or you had like a best month ever, like 12 months in a row, right?
Yeah.
And then you had 1 month where you went back a little bit. And I don't know if it pissed you off or if you just,
Pissed me off. My whole team was pissed off by that.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden you had your best month ever again, and by a decent amount, and then you're on pace right now to have your best month ever. So obviously the sales process is optimized. That's working, which is great. The other side of it is the opportunities for the salespeople to close. And I know you have a lead gen person, which is great.
Yeah.
Outside of that lead gen and lead management person, do you have any other lead gen vehicles that are bringing in opportunities into the business?
So we do the same like we do what most typical gyms. We have Instagram and some ads on Instagram. We've upped our ad spend mostly because we have a goal of members that we want to have. And so we're going to, because our income is upped, it makes sense to up the ad spend to get to that goal.
Right.
But I wouldn't say that is a place where we have a lot of room to grow.
Got it. I got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're doing some ads, but it's not like your top performer. What do you have a referral strategy in place or no?
No.
No,
That is something we
you're
have
doing
a
this
lot.
without referrals?
Yeah, well, the
Obviously,
organic or
you're getting
referrals. Right.
Yeah. But no referral
So-
marketing strategy.
We are still trying to implement the referral strategy, and because at the trial we've played with this quite a bit, there's too much going on to do it at the trial. So
Got it.
we're working on implementing it on our first checkup with
Got it.
with the member. So when we call them the first week or second week after they've been with us for a little bit, that's when we're going to put in the referral
Yeah.
strategy.
How many members do you have right now?
621.
Okay. So, hey, this is a great, what I'm about to say is a great example for everyone listening and watching. You don't have to do everything great in order to see greatness. You just have to be great at a few things in order to see greatness. And you're always working on implementing, but it sounds like she may be able to go the entire way and not implement referrals and probably still continue to hit her numbers. But, something tells me if she implemented it, it'd go a lot better. But one of the things that I did prior to us getting on, I was like, all right, let me check out everything about Pilates in Guelph. And I started looking at your Instagram. I started looking at your Google. And I noticed I'm like, she doesn't have that many reviews, which means that's another arm, right? It's another opportunity that you have there because your reviews are great. You have like 4.9 or 5, whatever it is. It's like up as high as you'd want it to be, right? You had like 80 something for one and then 60 something for the other. And you have 600 members. And I'm like, geez, that's another opportunity because you guys are marketing so hard that if you were to get more people to your page, if you had 400 on there, even more. But kind of like what you said with your members in that first trial, it's like it's impossible to do all of it, right? Like you just can't. And also, as you're proving, you don't need to. What I will say more for the listeners and Caitlin, maybe for your future self, the reviews would be a good thing to begin focusing more on because right now it was, I don't remember the exact percentage, but it was like in the hundreds of a percent increase of people that are using AI to search for local businesses versus Google. And the biggest variable for AI to recommend a business is going to be the reviews and number of reviews. I don't think obviously it's not impacting you now, but I think in the next 2-3 years, it's going to be a leverage point to be able to have like 3, 4, 500 of them on there, which you have the members to do it, right?
I agree, and it will be something that we'll start to implement. The other thing is, right, in my area, I've been really fortunate to be very alone until recently. So I have competition now where I didn't have competition before, and that's a great thing to make you get shit done.
Yeah.
Because you have to get it done because you want to stay on top.
Well, nothing creates innovation like competition. Right?
Exactly.
You have to, right? One car has to make a better car the next year because some other car made a better car, and you don't want to lose market share to the other brand, right? So it's the same thing when your world, you want to retain as much of that market share and continue to grow and not lose any to the competition. So when that competitor came in, obviously you took a look at what they were doing, how they were doing it. Did you take a look and see what are some of our competitive advantages that we have over them that we can begin to exploit?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. What are some things that you saw that you're like, man, if we focus on this more or that more, I think we could stay ahead of them for pretty much the entire time.
Well, our training is much more extensive than other trainings, the other studios in the city,
Okay.
and the community and our long-standing, how long we've been here, and the depth of knowledge of what my staff can do. Those were the
biggest
main
things.
ones. We also have beautiful studios. My studios are like you walk in, you go, oh, it's beautiful. It's not the sort of darker, trendy that they're doing right now.
Right.
It's lighter, it's open, lots of space, lots of air. So we
Got it.
really played up those parts. And then honestly, Mike, we just need to get them in the door. If we can get them in the door, there's no competition.
Well, you're 80-90% close rate, right? So
Right.
easy win. And that's where you talk about the competition or the product, right? So with the product, you focused on not only the quality of the training, but also the atmosphere and then the process, right? So those are all, if you're going to go to a restaurant, what I want to know is the atmosphere, right? You got that down for your gym. I want to know the product, the food, and I want to know the process. Like it was a seamless process. Nothing's more frustrating than calling a restaurant to make a reservation and they put you through a tree for like 10 minutes and you still can't even figure out how to make a reservation. Or when you get in, it's like you don't get the menu right away and you're waiting for the menu and you're like, I don't know if someone's coming or not coming. That's all part of the process. When you get the process right, you get the product right, and you get the atmosphere right, you've got a pretty good product. And that's what you guys have nailed down. There's a really cool thing saying that the sales only has to work really hard when the marketing's not that great, and marketing only has to work really hard when the product's not that great. If the product is really great, marketing doesn't have to work as hard, and neither does sales, right? And that's why Apple has a long line out the door. There's no salespeople, convincing people to, like there's just a long line. I know the product's going to be good, right? It is what it is. I want to talk about something else too, because you don't get to where you're at, nearly where you're at, without really having good retention. Because at 600 members, well, is that for 2 studios or is that for 1?
It's for 2.
How much for the 166 one? The one that's doing 166,000 a month?
Oh no, sorry. It's for 1. Yeah. So
For 1, okay.
it's for 1. Yeah.
Got it. So for this, when you have 600, if you had a 10% attrition, you have to sell 66 new members in a month just to like break even, right? If you have a 20%, like some gyms have, you're selling 132. Most people, you're not doing that, right? What's typically been your attrition, like on average, on a monthly basis?
So last month, February was 4. On average, like is actually the number stays the same, but the number of members stays, so the attrition number goes down. We run around 20 members leaving or suspending. So it's not just cancellations, it's suspensions as well. So it's
Got
a
it. Yep.
mix. And honestly, we take every cancellation very, very seriously because these people are part of our community. Like we know everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we talk with them, and sometimes it happens, and most of the time people are leaving for reasons that they're not necessarily choosing to leave, and they're like, look, we're coming back, or I'm going to come back when things change, I'm coming back.
I want to actually do the math on that. So 166 members times 4%. Hold on, 166 times 4%. So you're losing about, well, you said about 20 members. Oh, because you're counting suspensions. Yeah, so that's like 6, 7 members that you're losing if it's at 4%, right? Well, that's what you had last month, right?
Right.
Which is insane because that means you only have to sell 8, 9 members in order to see a better month. So for a lot of people that are like, how do I get more leads? How do I get more sales? Sometimes you don't need more leads or sales. Like Caitlin in this example has 600, right? Which is great. But she's continuing to grow because
Between 60 to 70.
yeah, very easy to grow. So you got the marketing down, you've got the sales down, you've got the retention down. Now, what I want to do is humanize you because there's people that are listening that are like, hold on. So she's got a lead gen person. She's doing basic stuff. She's not doing anything miraculous. And she's generating 60 to 70 new sales in a month. She's only losing 20 or less. And she's doing this all with just like one studio, just one alone. So you have people that are listening in, and they're probably thinking that you're some sort of savant, perhaps. You've got some incredible background. So what is your background, just so you can humanize Caitlin a little bit?
I have no business background at
What's
all.
that mean? What's that
I
mean?
like I mean I don't have any schooling on business. I've had the business for a long time. I liked teaching Pilates. I love Pilates, and I just would learn on as I went.
Okay. So now you learned a lot of it in the last like year or so. There's that information is there for a lot of people. Maybe not as organized as it would be when you're in our program. Obviously, you can find a lot of this stuff online sporadically everywhere if you browse the internet long enough. But there's people that don't see the success that you've got, even though this information is available to them. What do you think is the main reason, just in your observation of seeing a lot of other gyms? What do you think is the main reason a lot of people don't see the same success you see, even though they've got the same available resources and information?
I would say not investing in a program like I invested in Loud Rumor almost a year and a half ago, and it was a great move. It was the best move that I could have made, and it felt like a lot lot of money, but
By
there's
the way,
no
that's not
way.
teed up for everybody that's listening and
Yeah,
watching. That's not,
really.
that's not what this is about. But I appreciate you saying that. But I keep going.
But like a mentoring course or some course that helps you and gives you lays things out for you. That's really what I needed is that yes, all the information is out there, but I needed it quick. I needed it in chunks that I could digest and really work on. And the other part I would say is there's so much to work on. I had to choose one thing, and I chose my sales process as my one thing. And I put my head down and we just worked hard at that nonstop. And the other thing I'd say to you, Mike, is like when I joined, a year and a half ago, we weren't even really doing a membership model. We probably had 30 members.
Everyone
Like
was on
not that
packs.
they were in class packs, and we transferred everyone to memberships.
That was a game changer, I bet.
It's game changer, right? Totally, because now I have reoccurring revenue and I know the money that's coming in next month. Yeah, game changer.
I love that. Well, and now as you've graduated, because we have different levels at Loud Rumor, so you've graduated to the A class level, which is anybody that's doing $1 million a year. And now you're able to, I mean, you've always been able to have great conversations with people at the other levels as well. But what's it like now? Because, when somebody just asked me, I was just on a podcast as a guest. So I was you like an
Yeah.
hour. I was a guest on somebody else's podcast. And the conversation went around like, what do you think could make, anybody a lot more successful? And my answer was who you put yourself around, because it's very hard to start a new habit, but it's easy if the people you're around, it's already their habit. It's just natural, and it's hard to adopt a new way of thinking, but it's easy if you hang around people and it's the way they think. And so, taking that to you, how has that been for you? And I don't know, maybe you had a really good network prior, but like, walk me through like the community or the people that you might have around you today, and how that kind of helps you see things differently or have more confidence before making a decision, like getting a credit card at the point of sale, for example.
It How does that change it? It's just you have different ideas, and the ideas that I'm learning and taking in and can take in now versus the ideas I could take in when I was making 40,000 a month are completely different. I'm
Yeah.
making different decisions. I'm making different, and so being around people who are making similar decisions with businesses that are making that same sort of the A class or in that category changes a lot. There's also parts of, changing my mindset, because one of the things that you guys say is you get make more money, but it's just different problems. You
Yeah.
just gain different problems. They're not, problems don't go away, they just change. And I didn't say that as eloquently as you say it, but like they just change and you have to learn. And I think, and I'm going somewhere else with your question, so you're going to bring me back to my question, but I think the biggest thing that I had to do is I had to work on myself as the leader. So that's the thing I had to do, and to do that, I have to be around leaders who I want to be like, and see how they act, and working with the community, and being around people I admire and who have done amazing things helps me see where I want to go, and also helps me develop who I am.
I love that. And I know you weren't able to come to the last GST Con. You sent your people,
Yeah.
but we had talked about that where, as a leader, your job is to continue growing and developing, because you're if you're at the top of a ladder, you can only pull somebody up to the level that you're at. You can't pull them up higher than you. Now, obviously, people can be better than you in certain areas. I've got people on my team that are better than me in certain areas, but as far as their way of thinking and decision making, the leaders gotta be able to continuously develop and evolve. And if they're not continuously developing and evolving, your people are going to have a hard time buying into it either. But if they see you reading and you're able to give them a book and say, hey, I really want this plugged into the business. Can you guys read through this? Let me know what you think. How can we get this worked in? Or watch a certain training, or get them connected to somebody that's working, on a system that could be helpful for us. It's just so great to be able to develop your people. And I've watched your people develop as well, which is really great. And that's a big testament to you and how much you're developing as a person as well.
Yeah, it's been amazing. They came back from the GST Con just super hyped and super excited about how they can grow and how they made impact. They impacted the community within our studio, and this is more with the culture of the staff. Within 1 week of leaving the GST Con, the last one, it's been amazing. I see it continue, so it's great.
What I want to dive into next is like you and I, we got to have a really nice coffee and steak dinner like a month or two
Yes.
ago, right? And I got to learn a little bit about Caitlin and the way you think. But I only know really Caitlin 2025. If you were to have, let's say, coffee and a steak with Caitlin 2021, what do you think would be some of the key things you would notice in her way of thinking or her perception of business or the world that would give you a little maybe anxiety or aggravation having to hear yourself talk through it in that way?
The way I'm going to answer this question is that those were the COVID times in Canada. At least
So maybe
we were
2019.
we're shut down way
Yeah,
more.
yeah.
2029, 2029,
2019.
2019. You see, I've always wanted to be where I am now. I always knew, and I was doing things all the time to get me to where I am now, and I just didn't. How would I describe it? It's like the thing I needed to do is that I needed to stop working so much. I needed to stop working in the business so much I needed to start to work on the business. But to do that leap, it takes a leap of faith, right? To trust that what you've created can keep going without you working in hour out. And so that's the thing I would have said, to do that sooner, and then everything would have changed faster, or I would have found the right things I needed to move to accelerate us to where we are.
So what are some things as an example, if you were sitting down having a coffee and a steak with 2019 Caitlin, and you were to say, hey, I need you to stop doing these things that are working in the business and do more of these things that are on the business, what are some of the things that you would say, just pull away from this? What are some of those things?
Just teaching clients. Like had a full roster. I was teaching probably more than anyone else in my studio, and teaching on weekends for teacher training. So I was likely doing 50 hours of actual teaching a week, and then running a business. So I would
Now,
have said drop those.
now 2019 Caitlin would have thought that she needs to do it. She might have argued with you a little bit. What would be your argument for why it needs to be done?
Is that I couldn't make the money, like the business needed the money, that wouldn't survive. The clients wouldn't be satisfied with another person.
And
That's
what
a
would
huge one.
and what would have been your argument to that?
They do. I've done it. And I have maybe a handful of clients still who just wouldn't leave, and they're dear to my heart, so I still see them. But everyone else moved.
Yeah, yeah. So now 2029 Caitlin, what are some of the things that you believe are going to be the big differences between 2025 and 2029? What's going to have to evolve in Caitlin today to get to that 2029 vision?
That's a good question. Still learning. Like I need to still learn, and me. I don't know. I might not have an answer for you, Mike, about what I need to not that there isn't. It's more like
No, there
I don't
is.
know what I don't know. And I feel like the last year and a half I've just this is how I say it, it's like I'm running down a hill, and I'm just like, wow, this is really moving so quickly, so quickly. I love it, but I'm running down a hill. And
Yeah.
it's lovely and great. And I learned things that I didn't know I needed to learn, or even things I could hear things that I didn't hear before, but I did hear them. Do you know what I mean? Like I couldn't take them in before.
Yeah.
I likely will be less part of the business than in 20, or yeah, it'll be different. I know it's going to be different. And I laugh at that because if my husband hears here, he would laugh at me because I'm always about opening new things and doing new things. But it will be creating, I'm sorry. I wish I had a better answer.
No, it's a thought provoking question, which means
It is.
it's a very difficult question to answer right away. And for everyone listening and watching, like I dare you to be able to answer that question quickly. So when you set a goal, and there's a really smart man named Jim Rohn who passed, but he's one of my mentors from afar, and he said something interesting about goals. What he said was goals. It's not about hitting the goals. It's not about what you do or get done. It's about who you become along the way. And so the question becomes, if that's what I want to achieve, who do I need to become along the way in order to achieve that goal? Not what do I need to do. And I think that's a really important question for you, Caitlin, because what you do, Caitlin 2019 would have had a different answer, right, to that question. But who I need to become might be, hey, somebody that knows how to run a $250,000 or $250,000 a month business, right? $250,000 a month business. Somebody that knows how to run 5 locations, right? Whatever it is. So that means we need to hang around people that are running $250,000 a year businesses, and people that have 5 locations, and people that are hitting the numbers, and saying, who are you? What's the difference between you now and one location you? Just like I asked you right now today. You have to ask those people those questions, and that'll give you a lot more insight as to who you need to become.
Yeah. I think I do have an answer. Now that you talked for a little bit, my answer would be I need to become more confident in who I am. I just need to be more confident and be more confident in all of my ability to interact with people, my ability to not necessarily do things, because I'm very good at doing things, but that's a big place where I need to have more confidence to, just talking to someone on the street. Sometimes I don't want to. And that's okay. You can not want them all the time, but I do think that's a big part, is to become more confident that I can actually be that business owner.
Yeah. Confidence breeds you taking action on things you normally wouldn't do. Taking actions on things you don't ordinarily do breeds skill. Skill breeds confidence, and then it just continues in that circle over and over. So you got to just start the circle, right? So and you did already. You started doing things that you didn't normally be able to do. So now you've got more confidence now than you had in 2019. I bet you that, right?
Definitely.
And so now it's just about doing more stuff, which will give you more skills, which will give you more confidence from here on out.
Exactly.
Awesome. Caitlin, I'm so impressed with you, and for everybody that's listening in, I challenge you to go follow her on Instagram, and you can follow what is the actual Pilates and Guelph, but what's the handle?
It's Pilates and Guelph.
That's it, Pilates and Guelph.
Yeah.
So follow them, because you can see a little bit about what they're up to and how they're doing it, and I would also, if you ever get a chance, to just message Caitlin and just say, great job, you're incredible, because she's also a really good person, just a great person to connect with. And Caitlin, if they message your Pilates and Guelph, would they get you? Is that where you want people to message you?
I can, or I have my own for my training business. It's Train with Caitlin Bovée.
Train with Caitlin Bovée, Bovee. We'll include that as well. Caitlin, you're awesome. Thank you. And I'm so excited to see you. Are you coming in April for Michael Burnoff's?
Oh, no, probably not.
You're coming in
but
June?
I'll be in June. I'll be in June, yeah.
All right, maybe we could do an in-person one of these. That'd be kind of cool.
I'd love to. Awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for everybody watching and listening. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Mike.